Hello.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
So I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Audible.
My voice is clear.
Yes, sir. It's
Clear.
clear.
Can we start?
Yes, sir. We can
Yes.
start.
Okay. So welcome all participants for this online training program on design of mold, die casting dies, press tools and jigs and fixtures. So it is okay? Voice is clear, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Okay. Yes.
You can continue, sir.
Yeah. So the today's topics are basic terminology of PDC and types of PDC machine. So we know that this casting is a very old process. From ages we are using this casting, and also in the history, civilizations are known by the name of the casting techniques that are used in those periods. So, for examples like Bronze Age is there, Iron Age is there. So this is a very old process from history point of view also. So if we go by the history of die casting process came into existing in middle of 19th century. So basically this process is used for the manufacture of machinery parts of printing industry. In early days, die casting machinery could only produce a low pressure injection system, and due to the improvement in the strength and heat resistance of the material, we can able to use high pressure, high temperature materials also, like aluminum and magnesium, like that. So the casting process generally we know are sand casting, investment casting, die casting, low pressure die casting, centrifugal casting and gravity die casting. Now our today's point of discussion is die casting, and we are likely to stick to the die casting process only. So the die casting mold or plastic molding process. Die casting is a metal casting process in which molten metal is forced into a steel mold under high pressure. So this mold is made of steel, and the metal is poured with the high pressure, so that the intricate shapes of the required part we can able to procure. So the basic process cycle is visible on your screen for high pressure die casting. At the start of the cycle, we spray a releasing agent on the die surface. This is a cleaning process actually, and lubricating process also. So the release agent is sprayed on the wall of the die casting mold during pressure die casting, which prevent shouldering of the metal to the mold and facilitate demolding of the casting. So this releasing agent form a barrier between the die surface and the hot metal, so that the metal may not fuse to the mold surface, and resulting in difficulty in cleaning up, and hence result in the loss of production efficiency. So this releasing agent may be in the form of graphite grease, colloidal graphite, or water mixed dye spray. So according to the metal, what we are using in our high pressure die casting, different this releasing agent can be used. So after this releasing agent is sprayed on the die surface, our next cycle starts, and that is the clamping process. So both platens of the machine will clamp. And once the clamping process is finished, our next process of the short sleeve filled with the molten metal will start. So this may be by manual process, depend upon the facility available in our machine, or maybe by robot. So once the shot is filled in the of the molten metal is filled, our next process starts of injection. So the molten metal is transferred from furnace into a ladle. That process is already over. The molten metal is then forced into die using extremely high pressure. High pressure is then hold the metal in die until it has time to solidify. So the third point, the piston forces metal into the die cavity, and then this piston maintains pressure of molten metal when the die is filled, so that the all the intricate shapes provided in the dies will be filled completely. Then the cooling cycle starts. The third step in the process is cooling. After the molten metal is injected into the die, it must have time to solidify and cool. So we give some time to solidify the material poured into the die. So this process will last from some seconds. Once the metal is completely cooled, it takes on its final shape of the casting. So after this cooling period, our next process starts is of ejection. The die halves can be unclamped, and an ejection mechanism pushes the solidified casting out of the die. So there are ejection mechanism available on the our die casting machine, and that start ejection process. And then trimming cycle starts. After this the ejected material, whatever the casting we get from the after ejection process, we need to trim that material, excess material that are form a part of like a gate, runner system and overflows. We have to trim that parts to get the final parts. So let's discuss the advantage of die casting processes. So in die casting process, the main advantage is a very high production rate possible. Material utilization is high. Gates, screw, etc. can be remelted. So we can material utilization is very high in this process. Next is full automation is achievable. We can use robots and for loading unloading. So automation is possible with this process. Production quantities are high, so very high production quantities can be possible. In this process, direct labor cost is low because the automation is already there. Finished costs are low, and near net shape we can achieve in this process. In some aluminum casting, we can develop the strength of material as compared to other casting processes. For limitation of this process is that the weight of the casting or size of the casting what we can achieve in this process is less as compared to other processes. The lead time is very high as compared to other process because we need to manufacture a die for this process, and due to this initial cost is also very high sometimes. Tooling cost is also high in this process, and that has to compensate with the quantity of the production. Next, the equipment cost for this process is also very high. So we have to check production quantity and the cost of our equipment and production rate to balance and get the profitability. So main the die casting process can be divided into two types depending upon the process we use. This is the hot chamber die casting process is there, and second is cold chamber die casting process. So again, these two processes can be divided into further, and like low pressure die casting, vacuum die casting, squeeze die casting, semi-solid die casting. So for this today's topic, we like to stick to hot chamber die casting and cold chamber die casting. So this high pressure die casting process is used generally to produce metals from aluminum, magnesium, copper, and zinc. In this process, the molten metal is forced into the die with a high speed and high pressure. The die has a stationary and moving half, and both of which were mounted on the die casting machine platen. The die casting machine has an injection and that use hydraulic and pressurized gas to move a piston forward, injecting the molten metal into the closed steel die. So depending upon the injection mechanism, the process already I mentioned that this die casting process divided into two parts: hot chamber die casting machine and cold chamber die casting machines. In hot chamber, the pumping system and the furnace is a part of our machine. So for hot chamber die casting, we can able to use zinc, magnesium, tin, lead, and zinc. So these metals have a low melting point. So we can use this metal in hot chamber die casting machine. In the cold chamber machine, we can use high melting temperature materials like aluminum, copper, and brass. So let's discuss the process used in hot chamber die casting machine. On the screen, a schematic diagram is shown how the so there is a furnace that is become a part of our hot chamber die casting machine, and this furnace contains a molten metal. Injection system is submerged in this furnace, and this accumulator or piston form a pressure and inject the material through gooseneck, and through that material pour into the die. So the first step is die is closed and the piston rise, opening the port. So as soon as the piston goes up, the port is open. This allows the molten metal to enter into the gooseneck. Next, as soon as the plunger starts moving down, close the open port, and and force the molten metal into the die through gooseneck and nozzle. Once the metal is entered into the die system, this allows, after the cooling period, we open the dies. If there is any side cores or other systems are there, we required to remove that also before ejecting the system. So next step is ejector pin pushes the casting out of the ejector die. As the plunger uncovers filling hole, molten metal flows through the inlet to refill the gooseneck. The material returns back to the gooseneck and then moves to the furnace itself. So the next figure is shown is a pumping system, hot chamber machine pumping system. The metal pumping system is shown here on the figure, which consists essentially of pressure and power cylinder, plunger, gooseneck, and nozzle. Gooseneck containing the pressure cylinder and plunger is submerged in the molten metal bath. So due to this, we cannot use high melting point material because this will corrode due to the high temperature. The gooseneck and other sealings that are available on the system, this will corrode, and we cannot use those high temperature material in this hot chamber die casting machines. So the advantage of hot chamber machines: faster cycling production, intricate casting in details, reduce porosity. Since the furnace is the part of machine, so and it's as a closed system, air cannot become in contact with molten metal, and this will improve our overall production quality of the parts. Also, second is die life is improved in this because low melting point material we are already using in this process. So the overall die life will improve. Now the disadvantage in this process is this process can be used only for the low melting point material like lead, tin, zinc. So high melting point material we cannot use in this process because due to the continuous submersion in the high temperature, material will cause thermal related damage to the component, and then they become inoperative. So this is a typical schematic drawing of a hot chamber machine. Hydraulic cylinder is shown on this image. Plunger is there. A furnace is shown, which is a part of our machine now. Molten metal. Plunger pushes the molten metal into the die, and after cooling process is over, part is ejected and removed from the die. This is the original image of a typical high pressure die casting machine. Different parts are shown on these images. Now we discuss cold chamber die casting machine. In cold chamber die casting machine, heating unit, that is a furnace, is removed and placed at some nearby place, so that this will not. So now this furnace is not the part of our machine system, and we required to bring that poured heated material, molten material by ladle and poured into the unit. That is called a short sleeve. Once the material is poured into the short sleeve, plunger pushes the molten metal into the die cavity, where it is held under pressure until it solidifies. Once the solidify, die platen opens, but our plunger still advances forward, so that it will exert pressure on the casting, so that that casting will remain with the in the moving half, and this allow us to eject material properly. So now let us discuss advantages of cold chamber machine. The main advantage is cold chamber machine. We have a freedom of molten attack of molten metal on the equipment, because our heating system, whatever this, our short chamber and plunger are not submerged in molten metal, and high injection pressure can be used. In this process, very high injection pressure can be used. This can be up to 8,000 to 30,000 psi, or if in case in other unit, if you want, it is around 700 to 1000 kg per centimeter square. The disadvantage of cold chamber machines are the need of a auxiliary method of feeding metal, because we have to apply some extra system to transfer that molten metal from furnace to machine system. So this will lead to the longer cycle time as compared to hot chamber operation. Also, so there are chances of material come in contact with air, and this will lead to the defects of porosity. Also, the possibility of loss of superheat is also there. In that is in the between the process of transfer of material, molten metal temperature may drops also. So this is a typical diagram which explains the cold chamber high pressure die casting process. So molten metal is poured by ladle into the short sleeve, and the plunger is acting on the molten metal to force the metal into the die system. So to reduce the whatever defects we come with the process of cold pressure die casting machine, cold chamber die casting machine, one improvement is come into existence, and that is vertical cold chamber die casting machine. So in this process, in vertical cold chamber die casting machine, plunger unit is part of machine itself, and there are two plungers, lower plunger and short plunger. So lower plunger acts from bottom side, and upper plunger, also called short plunger, is act from the top side. So in this diagram, vertical cold chamber die casting machine is shown, the material we require to pour in the opening. At the start of the cycle, lower plunger close the opening of the die so that the material may not enter. As soon as the ladle pour the material in, upper plunger start moving downwards, and this force the material into the die chamber. Once the solidification process is over, lower plunger start moving upward. This will break the system. Break this extra material and so eject the solidified biscuit, metal biscuit, out of the machine. So one disadvantage of this type of machine is that the two operating plunger, which in this bottom plunger act as a trimmer, as required frequent maintenance. So next is a schematic diagram of a cold chamber high pressure die casting machine, and we will discuss the different components of a high pressure die casting machine. First we discuss structural components. In this machine bed, which is a steel fabricated structure that support the major machine components. This is a rectangle box type structure, but the shape may vary. It depends upon the machine size and the supplier design. So the base structure may size may vary for different tonnage requirement. Next is the platens. So we have three types of platens. First is fixed platen, next moving platen, and adjustable platen, also called rear platen. So fixed platen located at the short end side from where the material is poured, and this holds the fixed half of the dies. The moving platen is located between the stationary and rear platen. This is also visible on the screen. Moving platen is in between our fixed platen and rear platen. The moving half of the die is mounted on this moving platen. Rear platen is located at the rear of the machine. Moving and rear platen are generally resting on shoe that slides on replaceable wear plates. The moving platen slides back and forth to open and close the die. So rear platen and moving platen, these are moving, and there can be the distance, they can be adjusted also to allow the die, as per the die size requirement, we can adjust the size distance of opening. Next structural part is the tie bar. So generally all machines have four types of four tie bars. So, and this holds the complete structure, all platens all together, and allow the movement. And they generally allow the use of and position the platens. So moving platen is moving along on this tie bars, and the strength of the tie bar determines the size of the machine. The next structure uses toggle linkage mechanism. Toggle linkage mechanism is in between this moving platen and rear platen, also called adjustable platen. So, and this toggle clamp mechanism is used for the locking of moving platen. So next part is the electrical system that is available on our in any particular machine. So there are motors and control panels are available, and this electrical motors provide power for the machine. Generally, the motor is directly coupled to hydraulic pumps. Electric power is converted into hydraulic power when the electric motor spins the hydraulic pump. The pump forces oil into the hydraulic line under pressure. Next are solenoids. Solenoids are used to shift valves to control the volume and direction of hydraulic fluid flow. A solenoid is an electromagnet that shifts the metal core. Next are limit switches are also there. Limit switches are the sensors, eyes and ears of the electrical control system. They are located in many different places of die casting machines. They are used to sense the position of door, guard, cylinder and other moving components on the die casting machine. Next is hydraulic system. Die casting machine functions are operated by hydraulic system. This means that the fluid, usually fire resistant oil, is used to power the cylinder that makes the machine moves. So hydraulic system consists of hydraulic pumps, filters and valves. A die casting machine usually has a minimum of 2 hydraulic pumps. One pump is capable of providing oil at high pressure but in low volume. A second pump would be capable of providing a high volume of oil at low pressure. The die closed cylinder requires a large amount of oil to open and close the moving platen. Once the die face closed, only a small volume of high pressure oil is required to stretch the tie bar and lock the die. Just the act of closing requires the output of both pumps. In case where the output of both pumps is still too slow, accumulators will be used to speed die closing. Next is filters. Filters are required to keep the hydraulic fluid clean. The filters are located at the outlet of the pump to assure that clean oil is sent to the various valves and cylinders. Next are heat exchangers. Most machines will have heat exchangers. This is a large tubular tank located adjacent to the reservoir. Internally, the heat exchanger will have a large number of pipes going through. Cooling water will circulate through these pipes. Hydraulic fluid will be let into one end of the heat exchanger. The fluid will flow over the water-cooled pipe and give up heat to the water. The fluid will then flow out to exit. Factors affecting the efficiency of heat exchanger are the same as those affecting die cooling. If the water lines filled up with lime, heat flow is reduced. If fluid flow is too slow, heat flow is reduced. In this system, different hydraulic cylinders are available. Some are die closing system, ejection cylinder, short cylinder, and other are injection components are there. So die close cylinder. Die close cylinder is used to open and close the die. It is mounted on rear platen with the cylinder rod extended through the platen and connected to the center of toggle linkage at the cross head. Ejection cylinder. Some die casting machine have cylinder to actuate an ejection pump plate or a single cylinder used to actuate the die ejection plate. Ejection cylinder are mounted to moving pattern on the toggle linkage side. Short cylinder. Next is short cylinder. On a cold chamber machine, the cylinder rod is connected to a plunger that is located in the cold chamber. The short cylinder is mounted to a C frame that is mounted on the stationary platen. Injection components. The cold chamber component include the short cylinder, plunger rod, and tip coupling with the cold chamber. The short cylinder rod extends from the short cylinder and is connected to the plunger rod with a coupling. Then there is accumulators also. Accumulators available at the front end from where the material is poured. So most machines use piston type accumulators. The accumulators are large steel vertically oriented cylinder. These are a hydraulic type system and use a high pressure nitrogen gas. The fluid and gas are separated with the piston. The accumulator used when a large volume of hydraulic oil are required. This is during die opening and closing and during injections. So accumulators are required. Then intensifiers. The intensifier is a hydraulic device that increases the hydraulic fluid pressure at the end of the injection stroke. The purpose of this high pressure is to dramatically increase the metal pressure in order to squeeze additional metal into the die cavity as the metal shrinks and to further compress trapped air. The ejection system is shown here on the screen. Die casting dies usually include an integral system of ejection. When the die is closed, ejector pin contact the casting and safety pins contact the parting line face of the casting of the fixed half. Both set of pins are secured in a movable plate assembly. After the die opens, the casting is ejected by the forward movement of the ejector pin plate. Force required to activate the ejection system may be furnished by mechanical knockout plate, a rack or pinion on a hydraulic cylinder. Next is machine selection. During our design process, as per the requirement of component, whatever we are going for to design for die casting for, and accordingly as requirement of the clamping force, length of shots, maximum shot pressure, maximum die opening, die size, we are required to select a machine or a die casting machine.
Can you hear me? I am संजीव चावला. मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
हाँ यस सर.
अच्छा, ये जो आपने स्लाइड्स आपकी बड़ी अच्छी हैं. आई एम जस्ट इंटरवीनिंग. ये मशीन सिलेक्शन फॉर मेकिंग एनी कास्टिंग शुड बी बेस्ड प्राइमरी ऑन क्लैंपिंग फोर्स एंड ऑपरेटिंग स्ट्रोक. तो इसमें आप कोई एग्जांपल नहीं बताएंगे? ऐसे पढ़ने से तो मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. आप मुझे थोड़ा एग्जांपल बताइए ना कि मुझे मान लो एक डाई बनानी है और उसके लिए मैं सबसे पहले तो क्लैंपिंग फोर्स कैसे निकालूंगा? हाउ आई विल कैलकुलेट क्लैंपिंग फोर्स? और एक्चुअली ऑपरेटिंग स्ट्रोक कितना होना चाहिए? फिर उसके बाद लेंथ ऑफ द शॉट स्ट्रोक कितना होना चाहिए? मैक्सिमम शॉट प्रेशर कितना होना चाहिए? मैक्सिमम डाई ओपनिंग कितनी होनी चाहिए? ये जब तक आप मुझे समझाएंगे नहीं, मुझे समझ कैसे आएगा?
सर ये 6 दिन का सेशन है हमारा. आज का जो टॉपिक था वो सिर्फ टर्मिनोलॉजी से रिलेटेड था.
ओके ओके ओके.
तो इसलिए आज सिर्फ मेन फोकस है टर्मिनोलॉजी, मशीन टाइप्स और इस पर डिस्कस है, क्योंकि नेक्स्ट जो 4-5 डेज का जो सेशन रहेगा,
हाँ. अच्छा.
ये कैलकुलेशंस, डिजाइन पैटर्न, सिमुलेशन सभी इंक्लूड होने वाला है.
अच्छा. मैं तो डर गया इसको देख के. मैं तो
नहीं सर, आज ये फर्स्ट सेशन है ना सर.
सॉरी मैंने आपकी क्लास को डिस्टर्ब कर दिया. बट
नो इशू.
these are very important things कि जब तक मुझे ये नहीं पता लगेगा कि मैं क्लैंपिंग फोर्स कैसे कैलकुलेट करूं, कितना क्लैंपिंग फोर्स चाहिए मुझे, कितना फैक्टर ऑफ सेफ्टी रखूं, ऑपरेटिंग स्ट्रोक क्या हो, तो डाई ओपनिंग कितनी होनी चाहिए, मतलब कि क्लियरेंस बिटवीन बीम्स कितनी रखूं मैं, जब तक एग्जांपल से नहीं पता लगेगा मुझे तो समझ में नहीं आएगा. हो सकता है बाकी लोग समझ जाएं तो मैं कह नहीं सकता.
डेफिनेटली सर, इस तरीके के साथ ही हम आगे के क्लासेस में डिस्कस करने वाले हैं प्रोसेस.
ओके. थैंक यू. सॉरी फॉर इंटरप्टिंग. मुझे थोड़ा सा चिंता हुई इसलिए मैंने पूछा. ठीक है, थैंक यू. प्लीज कंटिन्यू.
थैंक यू सर. So these are the specifications of any particular machines. On the screen we show the HMT die casting machine specifications. Depend upon the model number, there that are available on as per the different tonnages used in this with the machines available. Generally machines are available in 60 tons, 120 tons, 180 tons, 250 and more, and now up to 1300 and more tonnages also available. Different parameters that we have to look into are locking force, injection force, hydraulic ejection force, space between the tie bars, now die mounting plates. So all these parameters are required to consider at the time of design of any die casting die. This is the production data of HMT die casting machines. Plunger dia, short capacity, maximum injection pressure. For different die casting machines are shown. This is a typical real image of high pressure die casting machines. Different elements that we already discussed are visible on these machines: accumulators, intensifier, different platons, base structure. So our next topic is basic element of PDC or pierced die casting. This is a cross section of die casting die. So any die casting die consists of two sections: cavity or fixed half, or the second is also called ejector die or moving half. Both the dies, both halves are meet at the parting line. The fixed half or cavity half is secured to the stationary platen or fixed platen of the casting machine. Sprue that allow the metal to enter into the die is on fixed half, and this is aligned with the nozzle or injection chamber of the casting machine. Ejector half or moving half contains the ejector mechanism, and in most cases runners are also available on the moving half. So this half is clamped to the moving platen, and it have the actuating or clamping mechanism. Other parts are cores. Cores are a die part that produce holes, openings, and other casting details. Cores that extend parallel with the die movement and therefore do not have to be removed before ejection of the casting. So that are in line with the movement of ejection system. Those cores are not required to be removed, but that cores that are on angle or in other direction that we have to remove before ejection of the part from the casting system. Next are slides. Slides are a movable die parts needed to build up die surface. Slides are used when it is impossible to avoid undercut in casting. Part of the die cavity wall that forms the undercut portion is made of on the face of the slide, which is accurately fitted in a guide cut in the die block. The slide must be free retracted before the casting can be ejected. A separate locking mechanism must be provided for each slide. The next are runners and gates. So the metal enters the sprue is directed into one or more passage or runners. So near the component area, the cross section of runner is decreased to form a gate, and that allows the metal enter into the die cavity. For different metals, the gate thickness are different, and depending on the size of the component we are going to produce. So generally from 0.8 to 2 mm For aluminum, we are generally using 8 thickness. We require to provide vents also because the accumulated air required to be removed. And these vents serve as an outlet through which air can escape from the die cavity, permitting complete filling by the metal. Adequate venting may be provided by clearance between the die faces at appropriate location. The venting may consist of clearance between the die and movable core, ejector pins and slides. The cross-section area of vent should be at least 50% of the gate area. Self-cleaning of vent can be ensured by making vent 0.5 to 0.6 mm thick for the first 40 to 50 mm of length, and then decreasing this thickness to 0.1 to 0.2 mm for the lead out of the die. This is sufficiently large to allow the escape of air and yet under normal injection pressure restricted enough to prevent the passage of molten metal. Ejector pins are often used for venting by grinding flats. Had to be short enough to remain self-cleaning. Next are overflows. Overflows provide an exit for an air from the casting cavity and serve to draw the metal around a core or a corner. In a casting of non-uniform cross-section, overflows may be required adjacent to the thin portion of the casting so that a sufficient heat is concentrated at these locations to permit proper flow of metal. Overflows are closely spaced in a thin section of the die cavity and around the area of the cavity that are farthest from the source of hot metal. The number and size of overflow assigned to the die should be held to conserve limit because in required injection of excess metal, overflow contribute to die wear in the gating area and increase the amount of metal that must be trimmed from die casting and remelted. Overflows perform several important functions that are as follows. They serve as a receptacle of the first metal entering the die cavity during each shot. Normally, this metal will be cooler than the metal behind it. In addition, it will oxidize to some extent as it forces the air that is in the cavity . Second, they provide additional mass to small casting, thereby helping to maintain a satisfactory and stable die temperature. Third, they serve as a location for contact of ejector pin when the casting themselves are not permitted to have ejector pin marks on any surface. Next are cooling systems. Water cooling requirements for the die are established by heat input of the molten metal, which depends on the type of metal being cast. the weight per shot, and the number of shots per unit of time. Because the die function as a heat exchanger, an optimum die temperature must be established and maintained. Common practice is to design the die with more cooling channels that are needed and to keep the flow of cooling water at a minimum during die startup. Water flow may be increased after the die is at operating temperature. Now, depending upon the structure and number of cavities and the types of cavities, we can divide our die casting dies into three types: single cavity die, multi cavity die, and family die. In a single cavity die, liquid metal is injected through the screw opening and is deflected by the screw spreader to begin its flow into the runner and then into the cavity. A fixed core pin forms an accurate hole in the die casting. A simple slide core pin is used for forming a hole in a sidewall of the casting just above the boss, that is scored by the fixed core. The side core is attached to the core slide header, which moves by an angle pin affixed to the core die half. As the die opens, the angle pin moves the header out from the die block, thus pulling the core pin out of the casting, which can be ejected at the end of the machine operated stroke. So now the single cavity dies are used when casting to be produced has so large that the die of one casting fills the die space in the machine. Second, volume of metal required for casting is near the short capacity of machine. The production quantity does not warrant a large machine for multiple casting productions. A suitable machine for multiple cavity production is not available. The complexity of the casting requires movable slides and core that preclude the use of more than one cavity. Multiple cavity die consists of two or more duplicate cavities for making identical casting in one die. Multiple cavity die compared to a single cavity die reduce the unit cost per casting of producing a greater number of casting per machine hour. In addition, multiple cavities may sometimes produce better casting because a symmetrical spacing of cavities often provided a more uniform thermal balance in the die and better distribution of mechanical force. On the side of the other side, the disadvantage is increased number of cavities increases the potential operating problem and sometimes result in a slightly higher scrap rate. The number of shots per hour is slightly reduced for multiple cavity dies, and these dies may require large die casting machines. Next are family dies of if when two or more different types of casting are produced on the same die, we call it a family die. So generally these family dies are used when small parts are produced with the other some other large part in between the space available, and required to balance the die structure also. So this is the advantage we can get from the available space, and additional parts can be produced from the in the same die. So these are the design examples of a cold chamber die casting machines. So multi-cavity or two-cavity die. Original photographic image. And now this is the assembly design, assembly drawing with multiple slides. Original component with the die block. Runners, overflow gates are already shown on this. So this is over of this session. We welcome you. Any queries, questions on this?
Sir, there are a few questions on the chat box.
Okay, sir.